like arthritic joints and stuff, if the bone increases in size, then
you're saying we're going to discover I have arthritis here? That's what I
no.
At our medical grade, we're not going to diagnose anything.
We're just going to really treat. The time you're done with
So what our device actually does is it applies compression and it shrinks your finger by displacing that fluid, right? Okay. So we slide this over your finger, we pump it up, and now we ask you to just elevate your arm for approximately 5 minutes, so you can rest your elbow on the table or whatever's comfortable for you.
Okay.
So while this is on, what you're going to see that tourniquet effect of your finger, and that's just the compression. It's completely safe. We're at approximately 300 millimeters of mercury when we're talking about blood pressures and that sort of thing.
It's pretty snug, but it's not like
so no pain or discomfort or anything like that. So where our device will not work is, as I was saying, that joint, that bone itself is bigger than the actual ring, right? So we find this with commonly is elderly females. They got a ring on there for 40 years. They have these arthritic joints. That ring hasn't come off. You're going to have to cut those ones, right? You can't shrink bone. But our device is going to be in that 85 to 90% of the population that they woke up with swollen fingers. Like think about pregnancy, heart failure patients, anybody that's fluid retention that have those big puffy limbs. That this is going to actually allow you to remove that. We advise against using it. We don't want you to use it on any trauma to the finger, so any fractures or anything like that, you don't want to put it on it and have compression to the finger. It's going to cause more pain to the patient.
Okay.
All the reasons why we don't want to cut: sentimental, financial value to the ring, increased risk of further injury or pain to the patient. You cut the ring, you got sharp ends, you got to cut it again or plier it apart.
I've had that problem before.
Damage the ring beyond repair. Cutting the patient while you're trying to get it off with a Dremel or something like that. Do you have the right blade for the metal that you actually have of a ring versus like a diamond blade for like a titanium ring, that sort of thing, where our device doesn't matter what type of ring you have because we actually shrink the finger, not the actual ring itself. We're not doing anything to the ring, right? So important about that. So we're just going to keep your arm up. The next thing is important about removing this is lubricant of choice. So if you use a Muco or a KY, it's actually water soluble, so they actually get absorbed in and will actually increase the swelling of the finger.
Sure.
So we use a detergent, hypoallergenic detergent solution that is safe for use on skin, lubricates it really well, and there's no adverse effects from that. It'll slide it right off for you. Any questions?
No, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah. So yours was fairly stuck, so we're gonna leave you there.
Yeah, you don't want it to not work after all that. I got you.
I have 100% success rate with this right now.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Tell me about how it was invented. Who came up with this?
So this guy actually invented it. He was one of the ones involved with it. It was a group of engineers and an Emerge doc.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, we're looking for a project to tackle, and one of my Emerge doc buddies told me about this, and we decided to go after it. So here we sit 2 years later, and
hey, man, I am. I wanted him to put it on the middle finger, so when you came by, I could wave at you.
I would expect nothing less.
How long has your ring been stuck on there?
I mean, we just discovered it was stuck on there, so my guess is it's because I belong at like 5,000 feet back home where it's 20 degrees outside, and I came down to sea level and have eaten a bunch of salty food, so I bet it has swollen in the last day or so. Periodically, it'll get stuck on there, but I'm one of those guys that like gains and loses 15 pounds in like one day to the next.
Right.
Yeah. It's mainly in his head. But now where he's.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
By the way, Travis says.
Oh, good.
Good. You know his love of snakes.
Yeah.
It sounds like you got better pricing because that was.
It's a timer.
4 minutes. Okay.
So I sent him that last night.
Oh, jeez.
And he had some choice words.
I bet he did.
Especially being boss's days.
Yeah, none of my staff recognized it was Boss's Day. I'll hear about it if I don't figure out it's Administrative Assistance Day or like Dog of the Month Day or.
Did you get the spiel?
No.
So we don't cut rings anymore.
So our device applies pressure over the joint to actually shrink the finger by displacing the fluid to allow you to remove that ring in its intact form instead of having to cut it. So you think of the population that has swollen fingers, like pregnancy, heart failure, anybody with peripheral edema, our device is going to work, as opposed to arthritic joints where the bone is increased, you can't shrink bone, right? So those ones will still have to be cut, or if there's any trauma to the finger, we don't want to apply compression and cause further injury to the patient, so they'll still have to be cut, right? But we're looking at 85 to 90% of the patient population that's a fluid-related issue that we're able to find that solution to remove it intact with no pain to the patient, right? So what we'll do now is we'll just palm down on the towel, so we'll deflate, and when we slide the device off, you'll see that you're noticeably shrunk there. So with our lubricant now, there's a technique in actually using the lubricant as well. When you put it on, you want to work the ring back and forth so the lubricant is underneath the ring, so it moves freely like so. Now what you want to do is, you can't shrink the skin, you're shrinking fluid. So if I just pull this straight off, it's going to get stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk this back and forth, and what it does is it allows the skin to fold underneath the ring, so the ring just slides right off.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's just so you can just kind of wipe your hand off in the towel if you like. So hygiene purposes and cleaning. So hygiene purposes and cleaning, what we actually recommend is you put a glove on the patient,